Some people have to play little games. You play yours.
Don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again.
How's it, my friend? What can I do for you?
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
I need a man who has powerful friends.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
Take a hold of him.
I'm gonna make him an offer, Captain.
My name is Eric Meunier, and I'm a game designer here at Jersey Jack Pinball, and our latest creation is The Godfather 50 Years. So I've been working on this game since just before the launch of Guns N' Roses. Bringing it out to the world and showing the world is always a very exciting thing. This license has so much behind it, right? One of the most iconic film franchises of all time. We had access to Marlon Brando, which was fantastic. So James Caan is part of this game as well, and even though he did pass during the production of this game, we were still using his likeness and interacting with his family and his estate holder. Al Lettieri, who played the Turk in the film franchise, one of the major bad guys who meets his end in Louis' Italian restaurant. Richard Castellano, who plays Fat Pete Clemenza, right? One of the iconic lieutenants in the franchise. Abe Vigoda is part of the game. He plays one of the other lieutenants from the Corleone family. He plays Tessio. Sterling Hayden is also part of the game. He plays Captain McCluskey, who is the dirty cop. J.D. Spradlin, who plays Senator Geary in the second film. Marlon Brando, the Godfather. He is the heart and soul of this game. He is the main face of the franchise, and we worked directly with Paramount and his estate holder, and they approved all of the artwork, all of the scenes that he was featured in, his voice usage, the sculpture that we recreated of Marlon Brando. All of that went through his estate, and they were great to work with. We can't do The Godfather without Marlon Brando, and he is the core of this game.
Hi, I'm Keith Johnson, and I am the software and rules design lead for The Godfather 50th anniversary. As a programmer, it's important to me for each game that I work on to have a different feel and a different way of going about things. I mean, in some cases it's inevitable, but you know, like in this game, we've got 3 different economies going on at all times. When Eric and I first started talking about the game, he wanted to take kind of a more board game approach with the game.
So the player is a member of a family. Not necessarily the Corleone family, because we wanted to tell more than just the story of the movies. We got to cherry pick the best scenes from the movies and use them in the game. You'll see them featured very prominently, but we're also telling our own story. You're building the strength of your family. You're recruiting soldiers to help you go on jobs. and make yourself more powerful. You're gaining influence with various political figures. You start with influence over beat cops, you move up to detectives, you move up to chief of police, all the way up through judges and senators, and finally the president. You can have influence over that. And if you reach presidential influence, you get a presidential pardon when you lose your last ball and you get it back.
As you're just playing the game and making shots, you're increasing your influence, which is how you get more perks in the game later on. So when you get more influence, things like jobs score a little bit more, then multi-balls score a little bit more. The concept of perks isn't limited to just influence. You also get perks from at the start of the game. You pick which family you want to play. The family that you pick determines what kind of things you can do in the game. So you get perks from influence, you get perks from your families, completing jobs, playing multi-balls.
And the players taking over territories, expanding their growth, gaining more ventures, illicit ventures. So we have a cute name for each of these ventures as you collect them, right? You're doing sports gambling and laundry mats and fishing trips, right? Instead of murdering someone and throwing them off the boat, you're going on a fishing trip.
There's not any one correct way to play the game.
As you're playing through, you're starting various multi-balls. Turf War is a big one, where you're expanding your territory. You get to visit the old country in Sicily multi-ball. You are defending your compound with the active Newton ball area in the game. And you are playing the 5 families multi-ball. So one of the main features, and again, why we wanted to tell our own story is we wanted to make this game, you're interacting in the environment. So you're taking out other lieutenants from other families, and after you take out enough of them, you get to play the 5 families multi-ball. You play through that, you go back, you're taking out more lieutenants so that you're making the other heads of families more vulnerable. And then you get to play the baptism. The most iconic scene from the franchise. We've recreated that to the best of our abilities in the game, and it's incredible. So we've taken all those fun objectives to do in this game, and we have integrated all of the audio and video assets from the movie, things that are synced up, things that are just the voice calls that are happening in the background that we went through and meticulously pulled from the high-definition stems that were sent to us directly from Paramount. We were taking this and pushing it into the game in every nook and cranny possible so that you get your own fun, creative, imaginative world, also sprinkled in with all of the stuff you remember from the movies, the iconic lines, the iconic scenes, synced audio and video elements, call-outs and jackpot scenes that are showing various bad guys getting eliminated, showing Michael, his house getting shot up from the second film. We've got the senator that's doing speeches in the public hearings from the second movie. Just a lot of the iconic scenes that you will remember from the franchise.
Obviously, we want the players to experience the biggest and most exciting moments of The Godfather. So we take as much as we could from the movie and turn them into various intros, various shots during modes and multi-balls. That's how we immerse you in the world of The Godfather as you're playing the game.
One of the big challenges when creating the Godfather pinball machine was The Godfather, while it has action, it's not an action movie, it's a drama. And how do you turn a drama into a pinball machine? Well, that's kind of the reason we had to create our own world and create our own elements of action to keep the player interested, to keep the player vested in what they're playing, what they're doing.
I mean, a lot of the game is the mood of the movie, but you can't just make the game a mood.
Taking all of the action and the iconic scenes and moments from the film and then building those into our world is what makes this game really pop.
So there's a lot to do in the game, but the main feature of the game is the window down at the bottom of the flippers. And that window represents all the jobs in the game, represents the multi-balls in the game, it represents what we call job awards, which will happen later on if you get a couple jobs next to each other.
There are 8 main playable modes in the game that each feature iconic scenes from the films. Then after you've played 2 adjacent modes next to each other in the stained glass window, you're able to unlock a job award mode that's between them. So 8 main modes, 4 job award modes, and then 4 main multi-balls. Those are what fill up the stained glass window. After you've played all 16 of those, you then get to play Honor, which is the first wizard mode. You get to play, after you've done 5 families and taken out the other lieutenants, you get to play the baptism. After you've played all of those, and you've reached presidential pardon, and you've gotten a 10x weapon multiplier, done everything the game wants you to do, you get to play the final mode, which is Kiss the Ring. So when you walk up to this game, your eye immediately goes to the center of the playfield, which is the Capo Regime, or the Lieutenant mech. So he's just a big badass, right? He's there with his Tommy gun, and he turns around, he can follow the ball around, you whack him and he bounces around a bit. There's a player-controlled spinning disc underneath, so after you've gotten through a couple of the Lieutenant fights, you shoot it in there and you're controlling the spinning disc. So it's whipping the ball around, you're making it move left, you're making it move right. It gets to the point where he's so strong, he's wearing a bulletproof vest, you can't shoot him from the front. You got to go behind and get him around with the garrote.
So there's more than one way to play the bad guy, and in fact there's several different ways that you interact with them as you're killing each of the lieutenants in the game.
This game is completely loaded with shots. However, almost every shot has a diverter on it, so there are 29 unique ball paths that this thing can go through.
I've always said the key to a good playfield is that the shots can do multiple things at any time. The key to that is having diverters that do different things. There's at least 5 diverters in the game, most of which you probably can't even see, so we can use those to put the ball in all kinds of different configurations, all kinds of different paths.
There's a lot of unique mechanics in this game. This is the fastest game that I've ever made. It is keeping you on your toes, and there's some really cool mechanical action that's happening. One of the favorite pieces that I designed, and I did a lot of the mechanical engineering on this game as well. One of the favorite pieces I made was this wire form that allows the ball to be fed in conjunction with the lift ramp. So you can shoot a ball out of this wire form and it can feed to all 3 flippers in the game. It's a really fun feature to play around with, so that it always changes up to where the ball is coming out. I've always wanted to play with an active Newton ball, right? Stick a ball somewhere, be able to hit it, pop it around, go back and forth, and then release it. But there's always concerns with a physical mechanism that can hold a ball, right? What happens if power gets lost, or the player can't hit the shot to get the ball back out of there, right? There has to be a release mechanism inside, so that's in there. So we're allowed to store a ball, release a ball, move a ball from side to side, and it really makes for some fun physical action. There's lots of sculptures on this game. I spent so much time articulating the design of one sculpture in particular, the fountain. So the fountain is made from 11 different pieces of 2 different materials. One of them is clear, one of them is not clear. So we have 16 RGB LEDs underneath just the fountain itself in the pop bumper. And it glows and it looks like real water, and we can turn it red when you're defeating a bad guy. We change it to the different colors of Sicily as you're playing through the Sicily multi-ball, because that's kind of the area on the playfield where that's focused. There's a sculpture for the Don himself, for Marlon Brando, right? Getting that approved through his estate actually went really well, because we have a very, very high quality, highly detailed sculpture. There's a ramp on the back of the game called the Loop Ramp. It's a cityscape ramp, all right? So it is laser etched and then enameled to have a full stainless steel cityscape in the back of the game. It's a physical steel ramp where it's laser etched windows and building outlines and all sorts of just very, very cool looking ramp. There are a lot of ways that the ball can get locked in this game. So there are 2 physical multi-ball lockup devices. There's a 3-ball lock in the back left-hand side of the game. There's also the compound lock on the right-hand side of the game. There's a subway. There's a lift ramp where you can shoot underneath it. There's a post that pops up, gets you ready. There's a flipper that feeds right into that, so you will release that and you can hit the flipper and shoot the loop ramp, or shoot it into the hideout shot, which goes under the playfield. There is a scoop that you shoot into, that's the Don's office, and the ball can be held there. We can also hold the ball in the Capo Regime mech, so you can play some videos, you can start some multi-balls there. There's just a lot of cool places where the ball can be held. So the lift ramp is always a very cool mech, right? We've seen them in a couple games. I wanted to do something that hasn't been done in a while, which is a ramp that goes in both directions. You can shoot it up the ramp and it goes down a path, and you can shoot it up another ramp and it can come down the left lift ramp. But what's really fun is that you can shoot it up the right side and it can go, if the ramp is in the up position, it can go down a wire form and feed the lower left flipper. So that ramp shot feeds all three flippers. It's a very, very fun mech to play around, especially in software. We can change which direction it's going based on what's currently active in the game, and it provides a lot of versatility for the programmers to make the ball move into different directions.
So as Eric mentioned, there's 29 different ball paths in the game, and figuring out how to put all those together and what things are going to tie into which modes or multi-balls and stuff like that was definitely a fun challenge. So let's take one of our orbits, for example. When you shoot the left orbit can go all the way around like you would normally expect an orbit to do. There's a diverter in the back right that can toss it into a subway. There's also a magnet that can grab the ball on the orbit. So when you grab the ball on the magnet, it can either drop it into behind the bad guy, or there's a little diverter that we can put it in a lockup where you lock balls. And then you can either lock a ball or you can kick a ball out. And then you can kick a ball out to any of the three flippers in the game. So you can kick it really hard, it'll come all the way around and come down to the right flipper. Or you can kick it softer with the ramp up and it'll come down to the lower left flipper. Or you can kick it softer with the ramp down and it'll go to the upper left flipper. So it's really mind-boggling all the different things the ball can do in this game. The left orbit, instead of just being a loop that you shoot, has 7 different things the ball can do, which is astounding for one shot. And oh, by the way, the right orbit can do all those things too.
One of the main Playfield features is the stained glass window. And we took that stained glass motif and we brought it all the way through the user interface that was designed by Jean-Paul de Wim. So there's different windows describing the different multi-balls, different features in the game, and they were all created to look like this stained glass motif. And I think this user interface is one of our best. It's a really original, cool concept, and there's really excellent lighting that JP animated behind this stuff. We get breaking windows when you're doing different multi-balls, when you're locking different things. So even the colors of the stained glass, they represent the different families. You're fighting different mobsters, their family colors are there and represented in the purple or the blue or the red or green. A lot of thought was put into representing the UI and making it understandable to the player, which is of course our job, but doing it in an artistic way, in a unique way. You know, I've never seen a stained glass user interface before, and we went through just all these different design concepts in the user interface as we were developing this game. So the hot rails, ever since we originally put them on Guns N' Roses, it's just been mind-blowing, right? They really made Toy Story 4 pop. They have gone up another level on Godfather. So now we've got lighting along the back panel, and we've got lighting under the apron.
So this game, we've extended the hot rails to even start showing you information. There's a cutout in the bottom arch that lets you see into a little area. It's part of the hot rail, but it's specific to the health meter of the lieutenant that you're currently fighting, the toy up at the top of the game. Anything that you do in the game needs to be viscerally rewarded with instant feedback, and light is the easiest way to do that. Most games, an arrow, on the playfield has an LED under it. Now we've taken that, and most of our arrows have 2 or 3 LEDs under it. So you're getting intra-insert animation.
On the CE, we've got lighting around the bottom and around the back. And we've added more lights. We really wanted to accentuate the artwork that's been created for this game, so we've lit up the entire back glass from the factory, so it just really shines in your game room. The artwork that we really want to show off here on the cabinet was done by the one and only Christopher Franchi. He did a great job on both the limited edition cabinet and the collector's edition cabinet. Our highest trim model, the collector edition, features Marlon Brando heavily on the cabinet artwork. It is the prestigious, the esteemed version of the game, so we had to have the one and only Don Vito Corleone on that art package. Michael was heavily featured on the limited edition art package in not only the cabinet artwork, but on the Playfield. He is a center figure in the LE Playfield. On the collector's edition Playfield, where we focus on Marlon Brando, Brando is a central figure with Michael just off to his left shoulder, as an in-waiting Don.
At Jersey Jack, we're always striving to improve our games in every way possible. So not just things with like lighting and the hot rails and stuff like that, but even with sound. Right now, we're working on equalizer for the game. Our game sounded pretty good before, and now with the equalizer, you'll be amazed at how good they sound.
The collector's edition game has so many bells and whistles on it, right? There's gold mirroring on the back glass. There's gold armor on the collector's edition that's been laser etched with some of the iconic phrases from the franchise with this really cool reflective film underneath it so it pops. I created these things that we're calling leg covers. And on the collector's edition, they are these golden lions. And we also took that golden lion motif, because that is the symbol of House Corleone, and put that on the lockdown bar. We have the Statue of Liberty 3D sculpture with working RGB LED torch in the back. We have a full glitter Playfield, and on that stained glass window, the glitter Playfield is unlike anything we've ever done. It is so beautiful. There's a acrylic skyline separating the inlane and outlane on the left-hand side in the collector's edition game. The spinners on the collector's edition game are a polycarbonate. They just spin for days when you hit them. And there's even could be a difference in the main lieutenant toy on the CE versus the LE. And the collector's edition features a topper unlike any that I've ever created. This car sculpture was beautifully sculpted and painted, automotive clear coat finish on top, and there's not one but two fully articulating mobsters up there that are hiding behind full sculpted barrels and full sculpted crates in this scene, and they're moving and there's lights flashing, and we really wanted to drive home this Tommy gun feel. So I ran some tests. Did you know the Thompson submachine gun fires at 10 times per second? Did you know that you can fire a knocker 10 times per second? So there is a physical, visceral knock that's happening every time these guys are firing their gun. And of course, because there's two mobsters, there's two knockers that are firing. Oh man, it's fantastic. One of the things that I was very proud of on this game is I have a friend now who's in the music industry, and actually I've developed a couple others. But I reached out to this friend because during my time designing Guns N' Roses, I got to watch 18 3-hour-long concerts, and in every one of these concerts, Slash would play the theme song from The Godfather. That was the transition from his 10-minute long solo into Sweet Child of Mine. He would always end his solo with the theme from The Godfather. Speak Softly Love is the theme from The Godfather. So I called Slash when I found out I was going to be doing the Godfather theme. I'm like, hey, so my next game is The Godfather. Then I was quiet for a beat, and Slash said, Eric, I have to do the music for you. I'm like, okay, man, twist my arm, right? So Slash and his rendition of Speak Softly Love are here in The Godfather. Another friend of mine who's in the music industry, his name's Mark Tremonti. Mark is a huge pinball nut. And I found out Mark was doing a very interesting change from what he normally does. So Mark is a guitar player, and he plays generally in hard rock. So he plays in a band called Alter Bridge. He played in Creed. He has his own band named Tremonti. And Mark is raising money for Down syndrome awareness with this charity. And in doing that, he wanted to push people out of their comfort zone, to try something new and unique. So Mark, mohawk, tattoos, hard rock, right? One of the best guitar players in the world, put on a suit and recruited the band that Frank Sinatra toured with. And Mark sang Frank Sinatra's songs. He did an entire cover of Frank Sinatra music. Now, there's a history with Frank Sinatra and The Godfather, and I asked Mark if he would perform Speak Softly Love vocally for us. and he has, and that is also included in our game. We hired a full orchestra to play Speak Softly Love, and then Mark recorded vocals for it. And I also recorded some vocals for it. So here at Jersey Jack, we really pride ourselves on theme integration, on taking such an awesome franchise and turning it into a kick-ass pinball machine. We really pushed to get everything possible into this game, from mechanical to software to music to electrical with the lighting, everything in the kitchen sink. We threw at this thing.
We are so excited for you to take on The Godfather.
Recreate one of the most iconic scenes in movie history with the baptism. Get all the way through the end of the game and get to kiss the ring. I really want you to enjoy this game with friends, steal territories from each other, make them sleep with the fishes, right? Go out on a high note, be the Godfather.
I made you a game that you can't refuse. My name is Eric Meunier. I am the software and rule. Made you a game that you can't refuse.
So you're gonna be leading me the whole time?
All right.
Well, no, so the number of skill shots in the game is 1, 2, 3.
Like a f***ing songbird.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Those rings were gonna pay off at some point.
I knew they were.
Nicely done.
11, 12, 13.
There is so much movie content in this game, it's over the top.
Feeding the bumper is one, feeding the compound is one. And there's another one where you can plunge it up the ramp a little bit and it'll go down into the eye lane. So we'll call that the Mo Green because you shot the eye.
It's hard not to drink that, man.
I can't wait till you guys get here and I can't wait until you guys get a hold of this. What the f are you doing?
Most skill shots
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay.
Perfect. That's it. See, that's it right there.